So what you did is you went there for lunch on those other days, and so you're not counting it, is what it is. I see what you're doing. I see what you're doing. I see what you're doing. You don't count.
I wouldn't be able to do that.
Huh? You what?
I wouldn't be able to do that because then I can't use as much of my per diem on my dinner, and then also they have these free lunches for us, so that makes it efficient. If I take the free lunch in the media workroom, I could spend my company could cover more of my expensive dinner at St. Elmo or one of the other spots. But on a night where maybe I wasn't going out and having those, then maybe I could treat myself to a nicer lunch and even it out over the day.
They're still giving out those sandwiches at the combine?
That's right. That's right. A combine staple.
Yeah.
I couldn't go with them. Yeah, sometimes I couldn't go with them more than a couple of times. But I think they're actually stepping their game up. They were better this year.
I ordered out every time I was there. The first year I had those sandwiches, and I was like, never again. And I just made sure I had ordered out or something and go get or leave. I just leave. Because you were at the stadium, right?
The convention center.
Yeah. Oh, you were at the convention
center. Media workroom, the Sizemore ballroom. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
So you're not at the stadium anymore for you're back at the convention center? Is that how it goes? I didn't know that.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's been that way for all four of them that I've covered.
Really? Well, yeah, that's right. Pandemic. Since the pandemic, I haven't been there. That's right. So they moved everything back to the convention center.
You've been out there.
Huh? What were you going to say?
Well, I was saying you were out there one time, but I guess you weren't doing something of the day-to-day coverage.
Oh, no, I don't do anything.
I remember you were out there like 2 years ago.
Yeah. But I don't.
You were hanging out, yeah.
Yeah, I go to the bars and I go see agents and I don't.
You didn't get credentials.
Go for the minutia stuff that you got. You guys have to do that because you write and you need to fill it for all kinds of other stories down the line and all that. You have a different agenda than I do when I go. Completely different agenda, and you have to do it. You have no choice because there's a shit ton of material that goes through the media room for your articles down the line. Because you're going to have all kinds of quotes and all that. And when they, you want to talk about guards, now you go back to all the audio you have from all the guards you talked to. And, I know how this all works. So I get that. But, yeah, that's why I didn't go down there.
I have both agendas.
Yeah, but by the way,
I have to have both agendas. Get all the work in, and then also do the nightlife, do the going out to dinners and networking. So. I've been trying to catch up on sleep in the couple of days since I've been back.
Yeah, but see, while you're in the media workroom during the day, that's actually some of the best times to get an agent because their players are stuck training, they're stuck in medicals, they're stuck in interviews, and they're in bars just hanging around, and they have a lot of dead time. And so they're either on a phone or something, or they're at the hotel room or a hotel bar or whatever. And so just a little, but again, because you're a newspaper guy, you're kind of stuck there and you have to stay there because there are interviews. But if Perk can get the audio for you and allows you to go or vice versa, I'm telling you, the bars are the place to be and the hotels are the place to be during the day because that's when you get.
All those interviews, they're taking place in the morning. So you knock them all out in the morning, which is why like you're also getting up early after maybe staying out late to speak it. But then some of the afternoon time, if you skip out on the lunches, then if you go out to the hotel lobbies, hotel bars, and you'll see a lot of people. So a couple of times I also just like posted up with my laptop at like actually the Starbucks where it all went down, the one at the second floor of the JW. Where it all went down between Ian Rappaport and Jordan Schultz, that whole story. So, the scene of the crime. I wasn't when it happened, but several times afterward.
Yeah, that's funny. You don't expect the Dolphins to tag anybody, right? 4:00 deadline today.
No. Yeah, I think that's a foregone conclusion now at this point. So Jevon Holland will hit the open market, and I think the Dolphins are still leaving some iota of a chance if he hits the open market and doesn't get what he's looking for. But I think even a little bit below what maybe Jevon is hoping for is still considered a high price for the Dolphins with how much cap space they have and other cap commitments and how they want to maybe keep themselves open to fill out the holes on their roster. So I would see it as unlikely, very unlikely that Jevon Holland is coming back in any way, and definitely not seeing him getting tagged here by 4 p.m. today.
What if I tell you Jevon Holland wants to go? What would you say to that? I get the impression Jevon Holland.
I believe it.
Yeah, I get the impression. I saw the defection of the personnel guy. I'm freaking brain farting. He left for Tennessee. What's his name? McKenzie.
Reggie McKenzie.
And he left for kind of a lateral position.
McKenzie.
Yeah. He left kind of for a lateral position. You know what I mean? I think people are jumping ship. You know what I'm saying? I don't think Tavon Armstead's coming back. I think that's why he cleared up all that money and he's down to the minimum, because that allows them all the flexibility, and then he can either get cut or retire or just move on. You know what I mean? I think this is a place where people are now looking to go somewhere where they may have more security. Put it that way. I think the lack of security now in the future, I think, is a problem for the Miami Dolphins and Mike McDaniel. Your thoughts on that?
Okay, I see the lack of security at the top. Mm-hmm. I get it. I mean, it is a hot seat year for both the GM and coach. So results do need to turn. The Tavon Armstead thing, see, I see it more as just he wants more time to make this decision, and then with the organization prepared to move on, then that's why he's down to the minimum. It allows them to make all the moves without being tied to Tavon's big contract. But I take it as more so just he needs more time because of how taxing it is on his body to go through an NFL season, not so much any kind of indication of jumping ship from the Dolphins, anything like that.
I think he's done. I think that's why he's done all this. It's just kind of being, and it's he's under contract and he's doing things the classy way and go out and because he's retiring, because the way they reworked the contract last year and gave him all the money and the guarantees and all that, he's repaying. I think this was all discussed from last year, and I think he's kind of doing them now the solid, like they've done him the solid by paying him. And so this is his way of, instead of telling you he's gone, he's got to tell you this is the process so the Dolphins can do what they can do. Because if he just says, I'm quitting, I'm retiring, then you really can't do this whole dog and pony show with his salary. You understand? So I think this is just him being super cool and doing them a solid for them paying him handsomely over the last few years. And by the way, being very patient with him too, with all the injuries. Never, ever showing any kind of frustration or anything like that. I think it's a great marriage in that sense. But I don't think he's going to come back. If this team was really on the brink, I think Tavon Armstead might talk himself into it. But I don't think anybody thinks that this team is on the brink. Do you?
Yeah, no. I mean, it'd be hard to really view it that way. And after they had made back-to-back playoff appearances last 2 years, and one of them where they were so what was the starting point? They were 11-4 before those last two games. Still had a shot at the number one seed at the end of 2023, and then it all goes downhill with the game against the Ravens, losing at home to the Bills to miss out on the division. Then I think when you were coming off that and you said, okay, well, they were that close, and if they were one of the top seeds, they could have made a deep run. With half the defense out, they lost in that cold environment in Kansas City. And then this year, the big step back, then it'd be tough if you're a Tavon Armstead to view it the same way as far as, can I go out on top with this team? Same thing with a Calais Campbell. If he wants to win a title in his last NFL season, would he really view it as, I could get it done in Miami, where, of course, he may love to come back. He loves Anthony Weaver, probably enjoyed his time a lot playing in Miami and being a leader on a new team. But, I mean, he would have a much better shot if he went back to Baltimore, where they were expressing interest in trading for him. And then maybe if he was cut at the end of the year, if the Dolphins were out, picking him up after waiver claims. So he would have a much better shot. If his main priority is to go out with a championship, then he'd have a much better shot with the Ravens in 2025 than the Miami Dolphins. So you do have to look at it realistically from those senses. If you're guys like Calais Campbell, like Tavon Armstead, the one we're speaking about in this case. But I think he genuinely just needs some time. And then for the Dolphins, yes, you do have to have your bases covered. I mean, I'd venture to believe, yes, more likely than not, from everything we've heard, that Tavon Armstead won't be returning, and they'll move forward with the Patrick Paul plan. But I think just leaving it out there a little bit.
Plus, I think it's time. You got to move on with Patrick Paul, dude. You have to. You have to turn the page. You can't keep going through this bullshit where you don't know if he can play from week to week and all that. It just, I'm sorry. Great man, hell of a pro, hell of a player, But it's just the inconsistencies are mind-numbing, and you already drafted a guy that is supposed to be that guy. So put him in there, and hopefully he's more durable and maybe not as consistent because he's young, but maybe he can turn into that consistency. But the only way he's going to do it is by playing. And it's time. You didn't draft him to sit him for the second year. You need to get Patrick Paul out there, get him playing time, evaluate him, and move on, dude. You got to either establish him or find out if he's the guy or not. You know what I'm saying? So I personally think you got to move on that. Now,
I hear all that.
Right?
Yeah. I was just going to say, I hear all that, and it makes sense, big picture-wise. But then you also got to consider, if you're Mike McDaniel, if you're Chris Greer, and you're fighting for jobs in 2025, and then a guy who was top 3 graded tackles in the league when healthy, then if he wants to come back, then you probably do welcome him back in that sense, because you are fighting for jobs in 2025.
When healthy, I'm going to put my job on the line for a guy that I have no idea if he can play from week to week. No, buddy. No. Enough is enough.
And you still don't know what you're getting week to week from Patrick Paul. Let's also be clear. Now he's having a hell of an offseason. He's losing weight. He's training, and he's going to be great. But
it's not injury with Patrick Paul. It's experience. He just needs, like every young tackle. Tavon Armstead did come out of Arkansas Pine Bluff in the 5th round. So everybody starts somewhere. You know what I'm saying? So since Tavon Armstead started out of the round out of Arkansas Pine Bluff, well, this kid's starting off in the 2nd round, and he had a year to sit behind a Hall of Fame caliber player. It's time to move on. I cannot personally, no matter how good you are, I can no longer put my job on the line for somebody that I cannot rely on. That makes no sense whatsoever. And I got to pay you.
You still have Paul as his backup.
But how do I have Paul ready when he's not? He needs playing time. Kendall Lamb is different. He's been in the league 9 years. He's seasoned. So he understands. He's played a lot. He has that mindset that he can stay ready. So you can trust Kendall Lamb in that position. Patrick Paul has not seen everything. He doesn't know everything yet. First, he's got to get to that point where Kendall Lamb is, where Tavon Armstead is, where any experienced lineman is. The only way, doggy, You got to play him, bro. You got to play him.
And to that point, I think when we spoke to Patrick Paul at Dolphins Cancer Challenge the weekend before last, where the headlines that we got from that were that he's really eager to start, and he was very straight into the point. Whenever any question about whether Tavon Armstead is coming back, whether he believes to be the starter next year, he was very he is expecting to start in his second season, and I think you could sense some of his maybe frustration from last year of exactly the uncertainty of whether you are starting. You have to prepare like a starter because you never know once Tavon Armstead is going to be out of the game, and then you have to go in there. So I think that is taxing on a rookie, where every week you may not play at all, but you are preparing like the starter, and then you don't end up playing, or you do get thrown in there, and all of a sudden, all right, Rook, let's see what you were all about this week in preparation, because now you're getting thrown into the fire. So I do get it from that standpoint, and it would be beneficial to him.
Okay. Tyreek Hill's tweet this week. What was your thought when you saw that he said he's going to have the best season he's had yet for the Dolphin fans out there?
I would venture to believe that's a little bit difficult to attain. Now, as he just turned 31 the other day, and now he's 2 years removed from his what is his best season, and will in all likelihood stand as his best season of 1799 receiving yards. Boy, to get to play in every game and then still get cut down to almost half of it. I mean, about 60% of that. Finished below 1,000 yards in the 900s. Have his first season where he didn't make a Pro Bowl, then it's tough to flip the switch and then come back so strong. But I would see him having a better year than last year, certainly. But I mean, I would think maybe it's like a 1,200. Maybe gets into the 1,300. I think they're gonna go to the run game more. One. And then maybe open up some of the bigger downfield passing plays off of it in 2025. But I do hope they are able to get him the ball more against some of those coverages.
You and I look at it differently. For me, the best year that Tyreek Hill can have is one where he doesn't break an IG's leg, or he doesn't get arrested, or his entourage doesn't get into a fight in a comedy club. You know what I mean? For me, a best year is where he doesn't run the wrong routes, where he doesn't drop balls in key moments. You know, when I look at Tyreek, is the best year is when he doesn't quit on a football team, when he doesn't rip people on his own team. You know, that to me is the best year, a year where there is no drama, a year where you actually grow the hell up. A year where you actually are a professional, a year where you don't walk off the field on 3rd and 16 in a key moment without telling your coach. Just walk off willy-nilly, you and Waddle, by the way, in a key moment in a game. You know, to me, that would be a good year, actually, because everything else, I think, would actually take care of itself. If you actually eliminate the drama on and off the field, because on the field there's lots of drama. On the field he runs the wrong routes. They even turn into interceptions. On the field he drops key balls all the time. He makes key mistakes. We're not talking about a first down drop on 1st and 10. No. We're always talking about a 3rd down in a key moment or in the end zone or something that turns into a very important play in there. So to me, that's his best season. It's not about stats anymore. Wouldn't you look at it that way instead?
Yeah. Now the question is Tyreek Hill looking at it that way when he tweets it? So I don't know if that's the case. I think he means it the way I'm saying, but it would be much better if he meant it the way you're saying.
And again, a lack of maturity, a lack of awareness. and a lack of understanding of what kind of a screw up he is. And it's amazing to me. And I'm sure this is all coming because he's gotten heat. People are down on him. I bet his business is down. Okay. I bet his business is way down now at Tyreek's play. I bet the only people showing up is some guy with his kid because they're trying to finagle some kind of a signature. That's it. Okay. Yeah, we'll buy something. We'll get his signature. That's it. Not because they really give a shit about the guy or anything like that. Trying to make a buck if they, something like I have no idea. But to me, this is a guy that is actually seeing the negativity come back at him
now. I'm sure. And I'm sure that's what he's got to do to still get people to come out to his store. Like, that's why he's posting, hey, I'm going to be at Soul Runner until this time, come out. And then that's people probably aren't going to be. Miami Dolphins fans, after they saw that locker room blow up, the final game of the season, who's going to really actively just want to support his brand off of that? Maybe you just go with the idea of getting a cheap photo op and signature from a star NFL player. And actually, I heard from one person who that day when he said, I'll be there until 9, and then they went sometime, I forget what time, in between then and 9 o'clock. And they were saying, no, the store was closed. Like, they closed earlier than the 9 p.m. that he was talking about. So I wonder what happened there. Was it just like
nobody was
showing up and they packed up? Or
just like I said, Jimmy Butler's coffee shop will close down. This is going to close down too. You burned your bridge with people that are going to support you, because the average person doesn't give a shit about Tyreek or Jimmy Butler. You're depending on sports fans to really go out there and support you. And if you piss those people off, who you got left, dude? You're only in a sports genre. It's not like what you're doing is something that's so amazing, your product. It's not like, and I hate to use this comparison, but it's actually legit. It's not like you're Kim Kardashian and you came out with the Skimps. I think it's called Skimps, right? And women of all walks of life are using that thing, for better figures and all that kind of shit. So, it's not like Tyreek's product or Jimmy's product is tearing down the markets in what they do. No, you are depending on a certain people to fill those, that quota, and now you piss those people off. Yeah, dude, you're not gonna have the success of Kim K. How do you like that analogy, by the way? Huh? How do you like that analogy? A Skimps analogy. Ain't that some shit?
Yeah, athletes got to remember, it's not like you're good for life with these fan bases. It's what have you done for me lately in sports? And I mean, some athletes they might earn it, like Dwayne Wade. Hey, he has earned it in Miami. Dan Marino, he has earned it in Miami. Like, you're good for life in this city. Udonis Haslem, he's good for life. But if you turn your back on this city, then no. I mean, Dolphins fans, Heat fans, they're not going to still the way the kids say "fuck with you." Like, they're not going to mess with you anymore. They're off to something else. They don't want to see that anymore. So you turn your back on these fan bases, then no, it's not just like, oh, it's all cool and then we praise you because you're Tyreek Hill, you're Jimmy Butler. No, it's what you're doing for the team that I'm a fan of. So I know. So it's changed a little bit with some people are more fans of certain athletes nowadays. Kids nowadays they might not be so much fans of teams, and sometimes they're more fans of athletes. But traditionally it's going to happen the other way. And once you start turning your back on the city, then it goes downhill for you with that fan base.
No doubt about that. All right, what do you got going on the Sentinel so folks can check you out, my friend?
Yeah, I just wrapped up combine coverage. I put out a list on sunsentinel.com. Go to the Dolphins page on whose combine stock rose from the combine, and many of them who could interest the Dolphins, so go check out that list. What offensive linemen the Dolphins talked to, different possibilities like interviews with Kelvin Banks out of Texas, Gray Zabel from North Dakota State, some draft combine coverage like Cam Ward and Xavier Restrepo. So a bunch of stuff. So go check that out from my last week in Indy if you haven't yet.
Excellent. And follow him on Twitter at David Furones _ and subscribe to the South Florida Sun Sentinel. David, as always, thank you, my brother. We will catch up with you on Friday, my friend. Appreciate it. Oh, okay. That connection was funky, bro. Jeff Welt, Daniel Rheaume, proud sponsors of this segment with David Furones. And, of course, man, they have helped so many of our listeners over the last few years. It is absolutely awesome. And I know some have called for all kinds of different things, and that's because they can help you with personal injury. Bankruptcy is an issue right now. A lot of people losing work. There's credit card issues. Coming off the recession, people have not recovered, and they went heavy into their credit cards. Homeowner property damage, condo damage, if you get hit by a storm or a busted pipe from a neighbor, whatever it is, you call Jeff Welt and Daniel Rheaume. The consultation's free. Explain your situation. You'll find out if you have a case or not, and then you can move forward. 954-966-4646. That's 954-966-4646. Business owner claims, commercial litigation. Jeff Welt and Daniel Rheaume can help you out. A lot of our listeners on the West Coast after the storms called. Listeners here in Southern Florida have called for all kinds of different things. We had a listener in Orlando a couple years ago call Jeff Welt and Daniel Rheaume and hire them. 954-966-4646. Manny Navarro kicks off hour number 2.
This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.